like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
Oh, I win. Google me.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger down here.
The college football kegger featuring Arch Manning's debut.
Oh, yeah. Well, I win. Google me. I win is not what Arch Manning said this week. I absolutely not. That was one of the most abysmal performances that I think you could have predicted or thought of when you decided that you were going to turn this game on. 0 for 5 on passes, 5 yards downfield through 3 quarters. An off-target throwing percentage of 37%, the worst of any Texas quarterback in the last decade. They didn't score until, what was it, about 4 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Bad performance by Texas. It's not the end of the world for Arch. Like, his story is certainly not written. Playing your first game in that environment, there's a handful of environments that are better. Not many. And when you factor in how good that team is, that might be the toughest place to play when you factor in how good Ohio State is. Because let's be perfectly clear. To go in there and only allow 14 points, the defense did their job. It's going to be a hell of a defense all year.
Yeah, look, there's a tendency in college football more than just about anywhere else to overreact to week one and to have
NFL too.
Large, like wide-ranging takes that are not going to be true throughout the rest of the season. That being said, I don't know if we're going to win another game. Arch is so bad. Arch is so bad. And look, I mean, I know the context is important. They have it's essentially an entirely new offensive line. They lost a bunch of their receivers. They don't have like an obvious like go-to guy. You've got all these different things that are going on. It's Arch's first start, obviously, on the road and a big environment, a big game, stuff like that. I kind of wonder, not an excuse here, because believe me, I'm not going to defend Arch today, but I kind of wondered like if his shoulder was messed up. He kept like messing with his shoulder all game, like messing with the shoulder pad. But no, they were just offensively, they couldn't do anything. Matt Patricia was the coach of the game. Patricia did so much to outwork Sark. And as much as like they were running the ball fine for most of the day, their short yardage was awful in this game. They could not, even the 4th and 1 that they snuck on the opening drive, they barely got. That was like a second effort from Arch that they almost didn't get. But man, that ugly ass Phillip Rivers motion he throws with.
Damn.
It's long. It's got to shorten up a little bit too. The memes. Arch got more Eli than Peyton in him. That he's adopted.
That was good.
That's good. I mean, because like there's to me there was 4 things that happened. It was either a really bad day. That's the real Arch. There was a ton of nerves. Hostile road environment. Like those are the 4, right? That and it could be a little bit of like, is Arch really that bad? No. Is he overhyped? Maybe. Probably.
Ohio State's defense is really, really good.
Probably.
Of course he was overhyped. I tried to say this the entire offseason. Paul Feinbaum, you should be taken off the air for like 2 months.
This is like a suspension.
The greatest, a take suspension. The greatest quarterback since Tebow. Everything is there. My big concern about Arch, going back to last year when I watched him in the limited action, I'm like, all right, what's jumping out to me like trait-wise that makes me go, holy crap, oh my God. His athleticism is not like, it's good.
He's well-rounded.
It's really good for a Manning, but I wasn't watching throws saying there is all-time zing on that. The accuracy's sake, it's certainly not the throwing motion. He made a couple of touch throws that I was encouraged by. He's not going to be that bad. Again, Ohio State with all these NFL drafted, they may have supposedly 2 or 3 players in the secondary that are drafted. I think he's going to be okay, but that is an all-time disappointment that we're going to remember for a while. Pepe, you used to be a Longhorn fan. What do you think?
I'm going to overreact. I'm very worried about this team. Not the defense, I guess, offense-wise, because mechanics, that road environment doesn't affect mechanics. I mean, he was throwing effing sidearm. Like, what is he doing over here? And the red zone offense again, dude. I mean, you've eliminated yourself in the playoffs the last 2 years because you can't convert in the red zone. You can't score a touchdown. You still come up empty there. So it's frustrating. Again, I mean, you pray the offense is better, but their next big game is in the swamp. Like, good luck, dude. If you can't play on the road, I mean, there's another L right there. Well, and then you get Athens, you get Georgia. I mean, good luck, dude.
That was one of the things I said last week. Like, if they don't win this game, like their schedule does set up pretty poorly for them. Like, Ohio State could have lost that game, and they still probably would have been all right. But Texas has to go to Georgia, to Florida, They still got to play A&M. A&M's not going to slouch. They're not a slouch team. They got to play Oklahoma. John Mateer he is he already the Heisman favorite, I think? I think I saw that he's the Heisman favorite. I mean, he went from nothing to something.
Hell no, Nuss. It's going to be Nuss, baby.
Look, Nuss had just an elite all-time throw in the corner of the end zone there.
That they robbed from him.
Sark is getting called out. People said it looked like Ohio State knew all the routes, the same stuff that was run last year in their playoff game. The wide receivers for Texas are getting called out as maybe not being talented enough or effort. I saw some of that out there. So some people were killing Arch, others were killing Sark.
To me, I don't know how you waste. There are people, I think they're wrong, but there are people who will say Jeremiah Smith could be like a top 5 receiver right now as a 19-year-old in the NFL.
And you said you think that's wrong?
He's not yet. It's the same thing as like when they said Trevor Lawrence would walk in and be a top 5 quarterback after his freshman year at Clemson. No, like he's still got to, you got to grow up a little bit. And not in like a maturity way, but you do got to progress a little bit. But this is 2 of his 4 worst performances of his career at Ohio State now have been against Texas in their games you lost. And like you're wasting what your defense is doing for you. And I didn't think Sark had a good game. Arch obviously didn't. The receivers didn't. I mean, as a whole, the offense wasn't great. The running game did a little bit of something, but for the most part, yeah, this was demoralizing and upsetting, and it's another big game that Sark has not been able to win.
People think they're going to drop to like 9 or 10. I thought Heather Dinich? She has LSU, who Lee Corso picked as his national champion, moving up to number 1 in the country, with the Longhorns falling to 9 or 10. Arch, after the loss.
Yeah, it didn't start fast enough. It took a whole half for us to kind of even get the ball down the field. So that starts with me. Get back to square one and get back Monday and go prepare for San Jose State. Yeah, ultimately not good enough. Obviously, you don't want to start off the season 0-1. They're a good team, but I thought we beat ourselves a lot, and that starts with me, and I got to play better for us to win. Can't wait till the second half to kind of get things going.
Man, he sounds too much like Eli. You can hear Eli's voice in the background.
And he doesn't even look enough like him, which is concerning.
Yeah, so she's projecting the college playoff. If the college playoff committee met today, that Texas would be 10th, and LSU would be number 1.
That is not the worst loss of the ranked teams. That easily belonged to Bobby's favorite.
Boggs in motion left to right, and they fake the handoff, end around right to left this way. Running 30, 25, 20. Makai Dancy breaks a tackle. 5. He's in. Shot in there, baby. Makai Dancy on his first touch of the afternoon. Speed kills. Touchdown Florida State. Touchdown FSU.
Oh, God.
What happened to Deckerhoff? He used to be there for years. Fire the cannons. He was there at Florida State for years. He must have quit.
$70 million. That's how much it costs to buy out Kalen DeBoer. Look, I can't. My team didn't win, and that sucks, and it was a painful loss, and it was another big loss that we've had in the last couple years, and in the big like crunch time moments. We haven't won the big game yet. This is my victory this weekend. Is watching Alabama suffer, watching Clemson suffer, watching Bill Belichick suffer. Those are the things that I'm going to lean into and feel really good about. And this was not just a fluky thing or anything else. This was Florida State beating their ass. This was Alabama getting whooped as a massive favorite.
And this right here, and we're going to see the rankings, the top 25 today when it comes out. This is what the problem with preseason rankings is that 2 things are going to happen here. The people who voted on this are not going to admit they were wrong on Alabama. So they're not going to drop Bama far enough to where they deserve to be. But in doing so, they're also going to overrate where Florida State really is. They're going to put Florida State's going to be about number 8 today. They're going to go from unranked to probably number 8. And that should not happen.
What about this team and this coach finally winning a season opener?
Back to throw. Looking, throws toward the end zone. It is good for touchdown. Daniels caught it in traffic, and they're going wild at Hard Rock Stadium. What a catch by C.J. Daniels, who makes an announcement. He's here in Miami.
Sorry, not finally winning a season opener, finally beating a top 10 team. Miami radio with the call.
First time in about a decade that Miami beat a top 10 team. Mario Cristobal had his own little issues with top 10, but this
Play of the weekend with a catch.
yes, what a catch. And Carson Beck got pretty mocked for leaving. First of all, they said he was basically carried by Georgia. He was the bus driver, so he got mocked. And then he takes this ungodly amount of money, completely alters the NIL packaging, right? Because he got so much cash. Well, what happens is he goes out there and he plays pretty well. And, Cam Ward dragged that Miami team last year. That was not an elite team. And they lost a lot of guys off that team that wasn't even that good. And Cam Ward dragged them. Well, now you got Carson Beck in there, and Carson Beck's doing Carson Beck things, good things. Maybe Carson Beck was better than we gave him credit for.
It's an impressive victory. There's nothing you can take away from it. Miami won a game that a lot of people didn't think they would, and a lot of people, I think everybody pretty much unanimously agreed Notre Dame was a better football team, that Notre Dame was a title contender, or somebody who was at least going to be one of the teams we're talking about as one of the final CFP teams. But this is, it's a good victory for them. I still am not a believer in Carson Beck. It's nice that he had a good performance. This is one of his first really strong performances against a ranked team, like a big-time, prime-time ranked team. He's had a lot of struggles like that. That's a consistent theme with him, Klubnik, Drew Aller at Penn State. Like, they all have these issues, and it's nice that he overcame that one for this afternoon or for this evening, but I still would not bet on Miami being one of the top teams at the end of the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Also, look at, this just kind of goes to show, if you get a transfer quarterback that's a very good vet who's seen everything, fourth, fifth year, you're just so ahead of everything else. I mean, Notre Dame had Lloyd Carr's grandkid, who was young, making his first start, right? They obviously they had Riley Leonard last year, but he goes on the road, right? Here's Carson Beck just seamlessly going in. Mateer in Oklahoma, a vet, seamlessly going in. Aguilar, Tennessee, all these teams that had young quarterbacks struggled, and the ones that had the guys that were older figured it out.
And then a huge sigh of relief for Brian Kelly as they get the win over Clemson.
Yep, and then Nussmeier versus Klubnik. This was one of those kind of who's going to be the overall number one pick elimination games.
Better not be Klubnik.
Half joking, but yeah, Nussmeier and Klubnik, and this was a lower scoring game than I think a lot of us envisioned that it was going to be based on who those two quarterbacks were.
Old Reitma, he was feeling good. He had the under, and he had Clemson minus 4.5, and he had it parlayed. And he got the under because the over-under I think was like 56.5 or something like that. Yeah. But you don't bet against Nuss. You don't bet against Marcus High
These
School.
Nuss.
These Nuss.
College football, Kegger.